But we had
David, we're ready
Antonio
whenever you
on
are.
our board, and he did everything. So I really didn't know the official steps of what happened. He would just appear and tell us what was going on. It was pretty impressive. We had it pretty quick.
Okay.
Texas gives it a
Hello, this is the Eureka Springs Parks and Recreation Commission regular
hoops to jump.
June meeting. It's sorry, thank you, I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's August 15th, 2023, Tuesday, and this is August. We're in the basement of the auditorium, and we do have a quorum, it looks like. We need to do roll call. Who is secretary now? I remember.
It's actually me, although he's been doing it.
True.
So,
Would you like to do roll call?
I'd be happy to do roll call, except I don't know everyone's name.
Oh, you haven't met, it's right, you've been out of town.
I have. So I'm in the dark. Carissa, are you here? Broad?
Yes.
Laurie Crammond, I'm here.
Ruth Hager, I'm here.
Hager.
Mark Ingram is here.
Jonathan Tigan's here.
Beth Giltner.
All right, everyone's here. We have a quorum. Thank you, Lori. I forgot you hadn't met Beth because you were off
I met her
gallivanting.
on Wednesday, not last Wednesday.
Yeah, well, I was gallivanting. I
Yes,
was gone.
I hope you had a good time.
I did, thank you. Okay, everyone's seen the agenda? Yes, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
It's Mark, do I have a second?
Second.
It's Carissa. In discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. And the count, 6-0. Agenda's approved.
It's been a while since we've had 6.
I know, it was weird, but that can't be right. Public comments? She's in front of my house today.
Oh, yeah. I saw her walking today.
No one else for public comments? All right. Chairperson's comments. I don't have any today. I'll go right over to Sam, Director's report. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, I just want to say how cool it is that we do have 7 people here. It's really neat. It's full.
I know, it's weird.
We don't just have quorum, we're packed.
All right.
Yeah, so the past month we've been focused on clearing out a lot of unnecessary items and trying to raise some money in the process. We sold $25,000 worth of quote-unquote no longer needed assets, such as the shuttles for the gravity project. We had a little hiccup with the shuttle bug, but it actually does have a bid on it for $9,000 right now.
Great.
So we're going to at least get $9,000, probably more. So it might be a good thing in the long run that that guy didn't, that he backed out. We might get a little more money out of it. We also raised about $1,000 in our yard sale event, which basically is just stuff we were holding on to for a long time that we were never going to use. So that's good. There's one more item on the agenda tonight for sale. If you guys are, we'll discuss it later. But just trying to bring in as much cash as we can so we can get some of these bigger projects that are much needed done, as we will discuss later as well. Q3 financials should be looking really good in that case, just because of all these sales that we're doing, and it's a good month or a good quarter for tax revenue. So we hired a new gardener, groundskeeper, and we're about to hire a former employee as our new trails coordinator. So pretty big boots to fill, but I mean,
Thank you, Sam.
I think he'll manage. So we do have a lot of exciting stuff in that area as well. I mean, especially the trails, just because we haven't had one since I've transitioned into this job. So I will say that the trails are not looking as good as they ever have, but we hope once we get someone in there to start cleaning them up. And yeah, it'll be good timing too with the contract of the shuttle operations. It'll kind of coincide perfectly with that. I've always kind of viewed that as kind of our end of the bargain, that we would have someone on site to help take care of the trails. Obviously, they're not going to succeed as a business if we have trails that aren't being well taken care of. So we have a couple more projects at Harmon Park. We started one today, if you guys drove by there, I'm not sure. Redoing that entryway. Thank goodness. It's
Really?
rough.
Oh, the little road thing down there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even my, in my Ford F-150 that's got more rust than good metal on it, I'm still like hesitant I was hesitant to drive over that bump. You know, it's just like, ugh. So I can't imagine how people felt driving in like a Toyota Camry over it, but so that should be good by the end of the week, hopefully. It should be all cured and we can take the caution tape off and it'll look awesome and smooth entryway. There's also another job down there at the Bark Park, redoing the entryway into the dog parks and kind of fixing that gutter issue down there that's always getting clogged with gravel and stuff. And so we got a pretty good plan for it, and hopefully we can get that going in the next month or so. PTD, Progressive Trail Design, I'm gonna kind of go in there and discuss further enhancements to the trails and trail maps and brochures. Specifically the in-town trail system. There's a lot of trails that we have that are not marked or mapped, signed or anything, so that's gonna be kind of phase 2, and I'm hoping to get with the old Trails Committee that made the donation earlier in the year to see if they're willing to continue that trend and help us out, because it will cost some additional money to get all that stuff done, but I think it'll be well worth it. So, oh, and we have a Christmas surprise coming soon.
Santa? Yeah. Oh, Santa's coming.
What? No, it's not Santa. No.
Be careful in case any little kids are watching this. We don't want to.
Everyone gets Santa, Lori. That one.
Oh, is that true? Wow.
Although you missed a few commission meetings, so I know you might be on the naughty one. No, we do have a surprise coming in soon, so I'm not going to say what it is because I didn't want to be a surprise, but
Okay.
I'm really bad at surprises, so I might word it out later.
Long time before Christmas.
Why don't you just whisper in Chris's ear and then we'll pass it down?
We'll do telephone.
Telephone, yeah. By the end, it'll be like, what, a 24-foot Godzilla?
That's good.
You're going to decorate Sasquatch
There we go.
Yeah, even
at
better.
Lakewood. There you
Big
go.
hat. I like that.
That's it for
You're done?
me. Yes.
That's it? Any questions for Sam? Anybody? No? I'm excited to hear about the entryway. Thank you. Make it smooth. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, committee reports. Let's see, we have anything? No, nothing?
Just that, we weren't able to meet.
Right.
I wasn't able to come to the last one, but at the next workshop, we'd like to report back to the commission, get your feedback on the process, on the form that people would fill out if they have a improvement request, and just get some guidance on how we incorporate that.
Thank you. Yeah, I got to get caught up. I haven't looked at anything since I got back from my little trip. I missed the workshop, so.
Can I
Yes.
comment on that? Just, one of Chris's ideas was to give each park like a theme, or like sort of a submission statement, if you will.
Yeah, like this particular park, the vision for this park, and some of them already have that, but it's
Nice.
articulating it.
That's a good idea.
Like Harmon is pet, families and pets, and Leatherwood is recreation, as well as you've got a component of it that's preservation. So, and it was Sam's idea to have a designated person that would be head of, sort of a subcommittee for those parks. Kind of, come up with a ward, like not really a warden, but what would we say?
Well, sort of a committee, basically, like just a body of people who are passionate about that particular park who would, come up with ideas or review ideas that we had and help with that, like going through those proposals.
Yeah.
If we get a proposal, like helping us
With,
kind of
like,
Make sure that it aligns to what that park, people are passionate about.
I like
A good
that.
example is we know that there's a woman that's passionate about the Black Bass Lake and about keeping it for walkers and not doing too much there. And she would be an excellent person to kind of run and vet things through to go, does this align to, you know, our vision for this park and this community? So, yeah.
I've been, I'm maybe putting the cart before the horse a little bit, but I did talk with Sandy Martin about potentially like adding some more art installations at Harmon, because I feel like, I mean, obviously we haven't voted on it, but I feel like a smart idea for Harmon is, like you're saying, families,
Start
kids,
the art
pets,
walk.
but
Yeah.
also like art, you know, art in the park kind of thing. So, you know, looked
They're
over a
very
few
keen
spots
to
where we
do it.
could put some art
There are.
displays. So.
Yeah.
Well, those glass sculptures are wonderful. They're a great introduction to the park.
And
Yeah.
so are the little lightning bugs.
Yes.
It's just, yeah,
Yeah.
the idea would be to add more to that and then have it going along the trail.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you have an art trail.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's so pretty, and then you go to the entryway and you're like, ugh. No, that'll all be fixed.
Yeah, that'll help us make a plan. Sounds good.
So yes,
Excited.
the next workshop.
Good. Other committees, we have,
The only one's finance and
fine,
Beth needs to join the finance committee.
what?
What?
We're up to date on everything except for, oh yeah, we do need another person on the finance committee. And I just happen to know a person on the commission that kind of does that for a living.
Oh, who could that be?
So if Beth would be willing, I would love to recommend Beth be added to the finance committee because it would really be helpful.
if she's
willing.
good.
Yes. Yeah.
Sounds perfect. Yay.
So I think all we do is just name her, right?
Yeah, we don't have to vote or
We
anything
don't
like
have to
that.
vote or anything
so,
like that.
Oh,
But one
good.
thing we will have to do is, one more time, redo
Yes,
the signature
signature card.
cards.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll coordinate that to, so it's all done, like when everybody's ready to do it on one day, right? Because,
That process is still so,
Just a question, like a procedural one. If you have two commissioners on a committee, though, do you have to announce when that committee meets?
well, we don't meet, actually. If we did meet, we would. But
Okay.
one thing that Beth would add a lot of expertise in is QuickBooks. She's very familiar with QuickBooks, and
good.
she could add a lot of help on that. And just having another person available sometimes for signing checks and reconciling, I think it's just a good idea to
Yeah.
do that. And by the way, we are caught up, we're caught up until,
We haven't done July's yet.
We need to do July's.
Normally, I would do it right before the commission meeting, but this commission meeting came so quick in the month, and also it was, you know,
Right after
the workshop got pushed back a week, so it was like
Yeah.
Tuesday, but I'll get it done.
so yeah,
next
so
week.
we're caught up, except we're not behind on any of that stuff. So everything is going according to plan.
Sounds good. All right. Anything else? Questions? Okay, old business, the final revision of the shuttle contract.
Yeah, were you guys able to, I dropped that in the Dropbox
Yes.
folder? Okay. So the only real differences were, and we talked about this in the workshop, was that we negotiated 15,000 a year to start off. And we also added something in the contract that stated, so long as they approve it with me first, we could potentially like reimburse them for improvements to the park that aren't specific, you know, to their company. The thing that's running through my head always is like, okay, what if they wanted to chain off the shuttle turnaround at the bottom whenever they're not operating, just because it's supposed to be for them. There's a parking lot right next to it. So just to kind of help mitigate people coming in and out there and disturbing their work area, you know, they could put a couple posts in the ground and we could reimburse them for those posts. The labor we wouldn't, but the materials we would. And they had to supply receipts and all that stuff, and it had to be approved beforehand. They can't just go out there and do stuff and then ask for a reimbursement. So I don't think that's going to be something that happens very often, but just to kind of give them the option for that, and in case there's something that pops up that would help improve the park, not if it's something like a sign that says, you know, slaughter trail guides, of course, we're not going to do that because,
Yeah, they would take that with them. But something like that, that example you made of the chain off, that chain is now on the park's property and kind of sits there and it's belongs to the park too.
yeah, and it's not
essentially,
something they're
so it
going to
belongs
like go and tear the post out of the ground and say
Right,
like,
right.
oh, these are ours, if the contract were to,
Does that make sense?
not get fulfilled for any
That
reason.
we pay for the materials?
So essentially, due to those changes, I didn't know if we needed to have another vote just to approve the final contract, or if you guys, it is changing a financial aspect, which that's the main reason why I wanted to at least discuss voting it.
I think we should discuss voting on it. Forgive my memory here. Was it last meeting where we looked at the shuttle? It was last meeting, right? Last contract?
Yeah, I know.
Like
right?
I've been,
yeah, I think so.
Been 100 years ago. Okay. So you already took all our concerns into account and fixed that. And you've spoken with Dustin, gotten his.
Yeah, we
Slaughter.
spoke yesterday actually, because I knew this was going to be on the agenda for tonight. He's feeling good about it, so.
So are we in a position to be able to approve it?
I don't, if we approved, let me think out loud here, put out an RFP, he offered a contract that we approved. But now it's changed.
Yes, the contract that I made up has been, and that we approved earlier, has been altered, especially the finances aspect. If it was
Right.
something that was like, something that wasn't money related, I could just mention it to you guys and probably wouldn't need to be voted on, but since it's like a financial
I feel like it should
alteration,
be,
it should probably be voted on.
I think it should be voted on since it's just a different contract.
Yeah, and sorry, I mean,
What do you
I
think,
know
Mark?
we're like just going around in circles here, but this will be the final, like, I've already discussed this with him. It's like, this is the final draft. I'm not putting any more, of my time into this. Like, this is what's on the table.
Right.
So-
Now, my question is, if we approve that previous contract, we need to unapprove it and approve this one?
I
What do you
think we
think, Mark?
can approve the amended contract.
Approve
the amendment.
The fact
alterations.
that it's amended
What's our
indicates.
intent? Our intent is to approve the amended contract.
That's true.
And so, as revised,
Okay.
I would say. I'm a little concerned that we start precedents on voting on every contract change.
Yeah.
Me too.
I really don't think that should be the business that we're in.
Agreed.
Especially this is a $15,000 a year thing.
It's not a huge amount of money, but
It's not a huge amount of money. It is a revenue change. It is different, something different for us. So I get why it's kind of a big deal. But either we do all the time or we don't all the time, but I just don't think we ought to be doing
Yeah.
it sometimes and not sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like I don't remember, if in the motion we said we give the director the ability to negotiate the contract, then he has the ability to negotiate, which means back and forth till they get the final draft.
Exactly.
In which case, we don't have to vote.
That's my
Did
thought.
we explicitly give that? I don't know.
That's my thought. We give
I
him-
agree. I feel like that.
I just figured we were going to be talking about it regardless because it's not something I would, if we voted on a certain amount of money to be coming in and then that changed and you guys were unaware of it, I would feel like I didn't do my job. And so if we're going to talk about it anyway, I figure we might as well just vote on it.
I feel like in this case, we should make an exception to the norm and vote on it because of the subject matter, because of the issue, but I would say that we need to make clear that it is an exception. And normally you are given the authority to negotiate a contract which involves these sort of things.
Okay, so normally I'd just say, hey, I'd probably still mention it at some point just to let you guys know.
Yeah, and you should. That's part of your director's
Yeah.
report. You should mention it. But I think in most cases, I just don't want us to get into the habit of getting into your nitty gritty every day, negotiating a contract for
You
every
guys are
single
so
thing.
annoying.
Exactly,
You're in my nitty gritty
exactly.
all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Try not to micromanage your job there.
Yeah, exactly. But I would make a motion to approve the final revision of the shuttle contract.
Second.
Mark and Chris has a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. The amended contract is approved for shuttle. Okay, new business. So sale of the Polaris, Sam?
Yeah, we have 3 side-by-sides right now. They're useful to a degree, but I don't know if you guys have ever taken a side-by-side in to get serviced. I mean, you have to drive it all the way to Harrison, and it's usually really expensive and not easy to maintain. It's a ATV, basically, you know, just like a enclosed ATV. And just where we are with our employee structure, it's not really needed. You know, everyone has a vehicle to use, so I kind of figured it's 2007. Like either we're gonna run it into the ground and, you know, it's going to die there in the yard, or we can sell it now. We can probably get some good money because we did put a little bit of investment into it just to fix it up and make it look nice. So I'd imagine we get a few $1,000s for it, and it's not necessary. The more you have, the more you have to maintain.
I think it goes along with our focus on our core job and things that aren't getting rid of. But how often do you use them?
We wouldn't have to use this particular one at all. I mean, Noah kind of, our new groundskeeper, drives around a little bit here and there, but it's not out of necessity. I think he just likes to drive it because it's kind of fun.
They are fun.
They are kind of fun.
My question is, do you think that there's enough money to be gained by selling it that it's worth it? I mean, so, yeah, I think about, like, sometimes something I have might be worth a couple of $1,000s, but that's not really enough money to
How much do you think
override
we
what
would get
the
for
usefulness would be.
Yeah, and that's, you know, it was kind of between. So we had the Dodge truck, and I thought that thing was dead, and it was kind of dead. I drove it all the way to the shop here, one of the shops here in town. I won't promote anyone or anything, but the owner of the shop texted me after I dropped it off like 5 minutes later and told me that a mouse had ran out of our truck into his office. So it had just eaten some of the wires up, and got it fixed, and we put new tires on it, and you know, it ends up being, after all that, tires and everything, it's like $1,200.
I saw that.
So,
I saw the amount.
You know, that's the issue, is like we just don't want vehicles that are sitting around not getting used, because then they end up going bad. And yeah,
if you have
Once-
a mouse in the wiring,
yeah,
you're not using that equipment
exactly.
very much.
Well, and that's the thing, we thought we were going to sell it, and then it's kind of like, well, it's either the side-by-side or the truck. To me, the truck is way more useful for a lot of reasons, also easier to fix if something is wrong with it. So that was my decision, was let's just sell the side-by-side then.
Honestly, I think it goes back to the giving you the authority to make decisions like this. It's not a big deal. I'm much more interested in the next
Yeah.
agenda item.
Yeah, it's, you know, I did sell a few things on Gov Deals, very small, weird items. There's like pallet strap, metal strapping thing. It was sold for like $200 or something. And I'm like, you guys probably don't need to know about that.
No.
Previous director bought it, and it like never got used. It's still in the box, and I'm like, let's just sell that. But things like a side-by-side, I feel like are, you know, they're assets that are on the city, you know, at City Hall that they have registered, and so.
Is this something that you have to get approval from Butch also?
It's a good question.
I forgot there
I
was
can
a
see.
dollar.
I'll ask Ida and see.
There was a dollar amount.
I think if it's under 5,000, which it would definitely be under that, and if it's competitive bidding, I don't think I need his approval, but it doesn't hurt to ask. I mean,
Yeah, just ask him.
yeah. So.
And then I think I agree with Carissa that this small amount of something that you find you're not using in your day-to-day work, it's nice that you're telling us about it, but I don't think we have to.
Well, if it's something like a chainsaw or something, I'm not going to worry about it. But if it's something like
Registered
something that's
assets.
registered,
Yeah.
like at City Hall as one of our assets, and we end up selling it, and then, you know, they ask me, hey, do you still have this? I'm like, no, and there's no record of us even talking about it, then
No.
That seems a good benchmark. If it is a registered asset, then
Trying to
maybe
keep
it
my
should
job
be
for a long
reviewed.
time.
But I mean, I might make a motion to approve the sale of the Solaris side-by-side.
Second.
Ms. Carissa and Rod, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. You can sell the Polaris after you talk to City Hall. Or whatever. Okay, sorry.
oh no, that's okay.
New business, this is the big thing tonight.
Right.
The Lake Leatherwood Dam handrail fixed. Be so cool to get that open again. Sounds like an exciting idea.
Yeah, I purposely
So-
left the agenda pretty short up till this point.
So the bid that's here was just one to get an idea, and then what we're talking about is going to a competitive bid process? Is that, am I reading that right?
Yeah, there's a few ways we can go about it. By the way, just so you guys know what everything is, the account drill down QuickBooks Quick Report. This is all the expenditures from for the year for budget item 552, which is, major repairs at Lake Leatherwood. As you can see, we've only spent 18.4, and I think we're budgeted for
160.
something, yeah, a big
Wow.
number.
Yeah.
So we have it, as far as that one line item in the budget goes, like we have I think we're well within our reach to pursue this for at least the proposed number.
And does it have to go to bid? I am assuming it does, just because of the amount, dollar amount.
Spoke with Ida, well, first I spoke with Kyle, and then I spoke with Simon, and then I spoke with Ida. So, if you guys are aware or not, but the city did receive a grant to redo Black Bass Dam.
Really? Yes. I heard
Yes.
about that one.
So that's
Yeah.
something that will be,
Was it the senator?
yeah, I think
Womack?
it's Womack.
Yeah, Womack.
The representative.
Representative, yeah.
So that's something that's going to happen, and I think due to the specific nature of the job, City Council actually approved to waive the competitive bidding process. That's something we could look at doing. I think due to the nature of the specifics of this particular job. Spoke with Ruth a little bit earlier today about it, just like the fact that, even getting material down there is like a feat of its own right. We could try, it would take me a long time to come up with the RFP for like how to actually present this and, present it in a way to other contractors for them to come in and prepare a bid for me.
But you're saying that the people you talked to felt that because of the specific nature of this job, it did not have to go to a competitive bid process?
What would need to happen, in the long run, what would need to happen is City Council would have to approve us waiving the bid process. But first, we would need, I wouldn't do that without y'all's permission first, so.
Yeah, we need to look at this and look at
Yeah.
Stacy's thing and have something so that when you go to City Council, then you can say, this is, the commission already knows about it, we know the amounts. We do know from dealing with jobs like this in the past, there aren't a lot of people that can do this.
Right.
And
And
it
you-
stays, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. You end up putting out a RFP and you wait and it takes forever and you finally get the process done and you get it, and the one person who can do it by then could have already started the So saying that, it makes more sense to me, since you have spoken to City Hall, that we should put together something that verbally, mentally, whatever, prepared for seeing what Stacy gives us to look at. And then at that point, we can approve, or if it's a large amount of money. But
Was Stacy the one?
I don't think we
that-
need to. It's already on there, isn't it?
That's
What do you think?
Well, I personally am never, ever for not competitively bidding it. So I'm going to have a hard time ever approving that.
Okay.
At least without two other solutions or somebody else that comes in and gives another solution. There's no way that one local supplier is the only person who could do it. For me, I would love to see at least somebody else come in with another solution. Maybe it's, they come in and they say it's a $2 million solution. We go, okay, we'll jump on this for you, you know what? But at least I feel like we can say we did our homework. We understand the magnitude of this job. I know, you guys know, I want this done. I'm all about getting it done, but I'm a little concerned about taking a major expenditure and sole sourcing it.
Yeah. I think Mark's right.
In an industry that is not specialized necessarily. I mean, several people can do concrete work. Several people can do stone work. Stacy may be willing to do it for us, and good, he can win the bid.
Yeah.
That's just my take on it, is I'm one person.
Well, and thinking of your wording there, you know, Sam, you said it would take you a while to prepare an RFP. How specific does an RFP have to be if you're looking for a solution? This is, you know, the RFP basically would say, we need a solution to this problem. What is your plan? I don't think it require you to put together a detailed.
No, I think you could actually put in a request for solution as opposed to a request for proposal.
You can actually put a problem statement out that says we are looking for
And there could be
responses.
$0 involved in that at that point. You could put an estimate, you could say estimate, blah, 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 this is not your luck. Because that way we have at least looked at every option or at least various options.
You get other eyes on it too if people look at it.
So
Well, you had mentioned also that it had to be approved possibly by historical committee for the state or something.
Yeah,
They
that's
may
fine.
have a list of people you could put that out to because they deal with historical repairs and they may be able to give you a list of contractors that could come out and look and.
Well, listen, what also happens with that is it is very well possible and maybe probable that there is only one sole source that can do it in Eureka Springs, you know, and that would be willing to do it. But wouldn't it be better to validate that by something? Do you know what I mean? Like having, rather than,
and
I think so, you know.
because you have a lot of experience with this, would you be willing to help
Absolutely.
put together
Yeah.
a request for solution or
Yeah, which are simple compared to an actual
Proposal.
proposal.
Here's RFP
Here's
is
our
a
problem.
huge deal.
Yeah, if you just put your problem
what
out
we really
there.
are looking for, and we could send it, and in fact, is if we get no responses, we get no responses. But we could, basically all you're doing is stating what our problem is.
Yeah.
And here's what we got. We have a historical structure that has crumbling. We can send you pictures, blah, 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 blah. We are requesting, blah, 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 your participation, provide us with a solution, and then
you include all the
and we look
challenges.
at them,
like
we look at them
access.
because we don't know. When you put something out like this in an RFP, you're telling them specifically what you want them to do and how you want them to do it. We don't know what we want them to do or how we want them to do it. We want them to come tell us what they would do and how they would do it.
Yeah.
And we
might end up with some solutions that we hadn't considered, or we may end up with just one, and that's fine.
Then we validated it. It is a sole source.
Absolutely.
We have some documents that were put together when Scott Miskill was here about some different solutions, most of which were discussions he had with historical, what was that, I'm going to say historical concrete guy, but that's not the right word for it. A man who did restoration of things like that and did it to exact historical specifications, though that's not really necessary in our case, but in case we did. And I remember looking through it, and I found it the other day and looked at it again. It's many, many, many pages of what this guy does and places he does it. Of course, he's talking about millions of dollars to do a long-term project. And I remember discussing it. It wasn't discussed as an option really for us, more just for knowledge of what could be. So I don't know if you're going to get some solutions that are going to be like that guy's.
Yeah.
They're going to be millions and millions of dollars and take 10 years. Well, no, but still, I think putting it out there.
I think the $48,000 in here is amazing. And
I am surprised.
I'm excited about the possibility of doing that. I just think there needs to be a little due diligence first. Not to say that
Agreed.
I don't think I'm excited about having that open. Everybody knows that that's
Yeah.
been my thing. But
It doesn't
do we
mean that
get
we
into,
should.
do we get
Yeah.
into scope creep? I mean, does 48,000 become 100,000
Yes,
halfway through it?
yes.
Because we haven't had a really thought out solution, completely nickel and dimed all the way to the end. I'd like to make sure that we have.
Yeah.
I don't see anything on here about labor, about like.
He's
the
included labor
division.
in the
I realize
cost.
that, but we know about the equipment that he's gonna get. And needing a skid loader and it gotta fix the road and stuff like that, but we don't see anything about labor. So it would
mentions
appear to
30
me we're
working
getting a
days.
discount in labor.
Well, I agree with Mark. I think we need to do our due diligence. As much as we all want it to be resolved, we really should just take the time to go through the proper steps. And I think a request for solution is a perfect option. And it doesn't have to be long.
Yeah,
It's,
it should
here's
be
our
easy.
problem.
Yeah.
Here's the challenges you're going to face in terms of access, blah, blah, blah. 2 or 3 pages.
Where did these drawings come from, Sam?
That's what I was going to ask.
Looks like it's from.
He put
From
those
Stacy.
together.
Stacy did.
Stacy? I mean, you do
You
a
put
great
some work
job.
into it.
Yeah.
But by
But
looking at,
can we have an expedited time frame for that so that we do get,
Yeah, I'm all about
Yeah.
getting it done quickly.
so I don't know if there's a set number of weeks for responses, but I would think let's make it whatever the minimum
There's
is.
not, you would decide that unless there's a legal precedent of that normal thing that I don't know about. No, you
I mean,
set
with the
the
RFP, for the shuttles, we did 2 weeks.
2 weeks. But this isn't the same as that,
I
though.
mean, this has to be, I think just one newspaper, one,
Cycle?
One
oh,
cycle.
wow.
or, just one paper in general, like, we don't have to do it in 4 different papers. or
Well, in a
5
request for
papers.
solution, we don't have to do that because we're not asking for bids.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's think about that.
But I do think it makes sense to maybe reach out to some people that the Arkansas, State of Arkansas Historical Society might recommend, as
Also,
well as,
What we could do very simply is invite 4 vendors or however many we have, all at one time to the dam and walk them through exactly
Yeah.
what we need and give them 2 weeks to put together a proposal of some kind, of solution, I would say more of a solution, and see if we get any different kinds of solutions to this issue. And if we don't, then good, we validated this is the answer.
and we want indicative costing and indicative timelines.
The other thing I would say, we definitely need to get a final sort of definitive answer from either Kyle or the state or whoever as to what our guidelines are behind what we do. Like, I would like let's get a letter that says, yes, we agree that you could do, or this is the only thing you were allowed to do, or, because I've heard it 10 different ways already.
Some formal
Somebody saying, yes,
definitive remark
go with
would be
you-
really
yeah.
useful.
When you go back and look at all the beginnings of the discussion of this a couple years ago, it goes back and forth from, do we need to follow, the guidelines set by the National Historic Register of Places and things like that? No. There's all these back and forth things. So I don't know who would be the definitive letter you give. Whether it would just be a simple, not call it the definitive, maybe just a definitive letter from Kyle or something, make sure but Kyle would be would already be part of this process anyway, have been talked to, right? I'm sure I know he's been out there and looked at the dam in previous times about this.
He doesn't have any precedent over it, but he's acting as sort of our middleman because he has connections with the state. So it's a national historical, the dam, it's national historical, what would you call it?
Site.
Structure, site. But then each state has an office that I guess they deal with the ones that within their own state.
Yeah, and Kyle is the liaison to that office, right?
Well, I mean, Kyle's our city,
City version of it.
but yeah, he's just helping out because he has all the connections. But The thing I worry about, like, with just saying, hey, can you come up with the solutions, like, I mean, we're gonna get maybe some weird ones if we get any at all, and they're probably not gonna pass whatever historical guidelines are necessary, so
But
it's
that's
kinda
why
Do we know that
And
this
then it-
does?
Yeah,
Yeah, this has already been approved and everything.
but I think that's why we need to give them the historical guidelines to incorporate into their consideration. I think
Yeah.
that's a really good point.
These are
Yeah.
guidelines
Remember
you
who
have
made
to
it.
use.
Yes.
How will you do it?
Yeah, so if let's not wait and talk to the Arkansas State, let's talk to them first through Kyle or, with them mediating or whatever, to say, can you please just tell us, do we have any guidelines that we need to make sure that people take into consideration when they're doing it? And that becomes part of when you're doing your solution, you need to make sure that you're factoring this component into it.
Yeah, one thing that also concerns me, if we were to build this dam today, would they even allow us to build it this way?
No.
They probably wouldn't.
So if you have to do
And that's-
50% or more, like if 50% or more has to be replaced, you have to by law go
Yeah,
to code.
Right.
But we're under 50%, so we can rebuild it.
And we
Original
have spoken in the past with the state level on this, and that's how we got some of the ideas about what we, our belief years ago, a couple years ago we started this, was that we had to rebuild it like it was. You look at the National Historic Register things and all these, obviously that's not logical for a safety standpoint for walking across a dam. There are all sorts of rules and exceptions and things in place, so whatever Kyle would know would be enough. I mean, yeah, we could go back to the state again and ask them, but I remember that was basically where they said, no, you don't have to rebuild this exactly like you're not doing 50%. There's multiple reasons you don't have to.
But will the
And you-
state have to sign off?
Yes.
Oh, well,
In which case, we should make sure, even if we've done it previously, because people could have changed and their regulations could change. It'd just be, what you wouldn't want to do is go through, find a solution that you think's great, then have the state reject it for something
Yeah,
that
and then
could have been addressed.
adding to that makes sense that, then it would be nice to have confirmed that if we do it exactly like it's on here, proposed, let's say we all just, would we be able to open it up for public crossing, or we would do it for cosmetics and it still not be safe enough to let anybody walk across? Did we accomplish anything? So I'd love to get the confirmation that yes, if we do this, then it is open to the public again.
Well, because it's under National Historic Site, it has different regulations. It doesn't actually have to meet modern code because it's historical. So yes, we could reopen it for usage.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would not be wasted. They would have shut us down a long time ago if that was the case.
Yeah. And I'm kind of curious, is it under national for
And I would also like to point out that the only reason why it's closed is because we decided to close it.
True.
Like no one came in and said, hey, you need to close this dam. But now that we have had it closed for 3 years, it would feel really, really stupid if we just reopen it without doing anything. So, I mean, that's essentially where we are right now. No one came in and wrote us up on a safety thing and said you have to close this or.
when we redo it, just like this plan, is it safer than it is right today?
Yes.
Or is it exactly
Yes.
the same?
It's safer. Yeah, there's less missing portions.
Yeah.
You can actually, you'd be able to put pressure on the rail with, confidence. There's one rail that's totally missing. Does not inspire confidence going across it right now. So yeah, it would make it safer to a degree. And if next year we also decide, hey, we want to also add some kind of extra safety feature, we could do that as well if we didn't feel confident, but we would need those piers to all be solid and a strong foundation to attach whatever safety feature to.
and the old concrete that's crumbling was how this all started in the first place. What's there is crumbling, and we don't want to recreate that style of concrete. Historically, they used the way they did it doesn't hold up. So we're doing something different anyway.
Yeah, part of it is just age. Stuff
Yeah.
gets, yeah.
So after talking to them. I mean, that's why we talk about. Do you know that there's a very specific state statute or guideline for non-competitive sort of sole source?
So according to IDO, we basically, there's a couple of different commissions that got hit by the legislative audit because they didn't go through city council first before taking a non-competitive bid over 20,000. So that said, you know, basically what going to council would do would just essentially be kind of like an oversight body that says, okay, we're giving you permission to do this because, you know, you don't want one person doing it. If I were to do it, that looks terrible. That looks like, you know, people being in cahoots with each other. But as long as it's voted on and known by a voted on entity like the city council.
Well, what you would have to be able to do then, to go to them to ask them to do that, is justify a sole source.
Mm-hmm.
But you convinced me.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
That we
And
shouldn't.
could you look them in the eyes and say, there is nobody else that could do it? And we just can't do that right now, because that's what we'd have to tell them. There is nobody else that could do it.
Yeah. I think based on the discussion, I'm getting the impression that we're kind of in agreement that we should go out to bid, but we would be looking for solutions.
Not to bid, yeah.
So we would go out with a request for solution.
I mean, within that
In
solution,
advance,
there'd be a
we would
price,
have-
right?
They can make an
Yes.
estimate,
Yeah, an estimate, okay.
whatever
they would
their
do
solution is.
Indicative costings, and you can do it where you say, we would like you to give us a cost estimate and tell us, is it within a plus or minus 20%, 25%? How confident are you? So you can say, we'd like you to give us indicative costing plus or minus 10%. But I think we do need to get some guidance from the Arkansas State. If we have to go to them anyway to approve it, just say, okay, we're going to go out for a solution, tell us what we need to tell them to factor in, and that can be part of it. And then that then becomes part of whatever solution we go with, which can be.
But if it'd be helpful, I'll do a little research myself, see if I can through the state and through what we actually have to do. I feel like it's interesting because nothing else that happens in this town, do they go to the state for historical stuff, but maybe the dam is different because it's on the lake and I don't know, was it federally funded? I mean, I don't know the history behind why the dam would be different than, say, we want to do something to the odd.
Well, it's a water.
Well, also Parks is its own commission, so it's
Right.
like, you know, separate from the city in a way. We're part of the city, but we're separate. And it's on the National Historic list, you know, so it's, I don't know exactly all the ins and outs and the reasons why, but
I think if that's our guidance, we should go with the guidance that
Mark,
Sam's
you could,
getting.
sorry. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, and if you do some research too, and you
Yeah, I will-
help him with
I
the
will do it.
request for solutions, and I'm going to grab the paperwork I have if you want to look at it. I know there's a whole bunch of stuff that was given to us to look at that it enclosed a whole bunch of things about the historical things and what the guidelines are and all that. A little packet like that. I can't remember. It was online and paper. Does anybody?
That's before me.
I found reference to it in my phone, so I know that I'm going to look for some of the packages and things.
think
Not all
it'll
the
be-
things are attached that are supposed to be attached when you look at old
I
minutes
think
and
that'll
things.
be interesting, but I do think as well, if we can expedite and try to
Right.
turn around as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I don't
because
think you
it
need that
has
to do that. I
been.
just think it'd be interesting to look at if you
Yeah,
want to.
absolutely. Maybe one of the workshops go through and, because I mean, I'd like to see it. I don't
Well,
think
whenever,
I have.
by our next workshop, maybe between now and then, you could have this done. And, you know, if it comes down to something, I mean, I don't know, I'm imagining scenarios such as Stacy is the only one that puts together a solution we can afford. If something like that happens and you know you want us to vote on it, then you can tell us so whenever you want to tell us, but we don't know that yet, so.
yeah, I mean, either route is kind of hoops to jump through. Like either I got to do this or I got to go to city council and
And
do it that way. I mean,
the risk at city council is you're going to have the same questions that we have, and you may end up
Yeah.
back here again. So it's
I just think it'll look
probably
good
going
if
to be
you
quicker.
go to the state, find out any possible requirements that might be necessary,
Oh,
that what they're gonna look at, whether or
Can I-
not they approve it.
can I
or not.
back that up though? I know that's like interesting topic, but like personally, I feel like if I'm going to put a request for a solution out there, I would rather have the contractor be the one who's kind of, all I need to
Oh, we
say is
can
that
put that
it
on
needs to
them.
meet historical code. Let them do all that because, I mean, I'm basically doing their homework for them at that point. And
That's true.
I mean, I would like to know that stuff regardless, but at the same time, like,
I-
not trying to like hold anyone's,
I
they
think
should know how to
we-
do that.
We
I
shouldn't
think
put it-
we need to know, if you're going to be grading it based on it meets the criteria of the state, we should tell whoever we're asking to bid, this is one of the criteria that we're going to be grading you on. I don't think it's quite fair to go out to a vendor and have them, they may interpret the historical code in a completely different way, which means that they've wasted time and effort. We waste time and effort looking at it to reject it. If we know that there's going to be a requirement from the state, we should include it in our bid because it's only fair to them and to us, because otherwise we're just, it is interpretive. That's why if we can get them to tell us exactly guidelines, we'll include those guidelines. And then when we get to the point where we're going to make a recommendation and sign off, we can say, those were your guidelines. This is how they met those. We expect you to sign off now. It makes it a much quicker process. Otherwise, vendor A could interpret it one way, vendor B could interpret it another way, the city could reject them both. I mean, the state could reject them both. It's better to just be as transparent as possible. But
I
that's
will,
my view.
I will own the responsibility to go find out.
Okay. And I feel like Kyle could tell you some of that too.
Speak with Kyle first.
Yeah.
If there's somebody he needs to speak with, to get that definitive answer to what we need to do, so that when we do make a decision, regardless of what it is, we had something that says we went through the right channels to get it
Yeah.
done. I feel like,
Yeah, because we could just hit a wall down the road. If we go
Yeah.
through all this, then we get a proposal we want, and then they'll go, well, you didn't do these things
Exactly.
preemptively.
I'd like to just know.
Which government,
I would say it
especially small
doesn't take
city
long,
government
like
does that.
we could get all the proposals that we're gonna get, after 2 weeks or whatever time we allot. We send all those to Kyle to send to the state. I mean, they can sort through all of them, and then before we vote on them, we have them sort through them. And that way, we're not wasting our time voting on something that's not gonna pass anyway. So it's like, that's what I'm trying to get at, is like, let them figure out kind of what the codes and the requirements are. Like, we need to know it too. It's not a bad thing to know, but I'm worried about getting paralysis by analysis and getting to the
Well,
point where I'm like,
yes,
getting
I don't want
lost
to do
in
that
the
either.
mud.
But I do
shouldn't
think
take
we
that
need to
long.
know ahead of time
Agreed.
what we're asking them to do. If we're asking them to meet historical code, we should at least know what historical code is. It's not a reasonable request if we don't even know what it is.
It's true.
So we feel like we do have
And
to
it-
have that. And I also don't want to say you have to meet a certain code, maybe the National Historic Code, when we really only have to have the Arkansas State Historic Code. Or we just don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
let's
we
face
don't
it,
know. You're right.
There's not one of us here that knows the answer
Kyle,
to that.
Kyle will
right?
be your first stop.
Yeah,
and
we
then we'll-
need to
we'll-
get that answer. And then once we do, we can chop it.
Yep.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Yep.
Anything else we want to?
No, yeah, I mean, I have a feeling it's gonna have to be something very similar to like, it's gonna have to look the same as something, so
Say that again.
whatever proposal for solution, whatever you wanna call it, comes to us, it is gonna have to look very similar to
What it looks like
what's already
now.
there, so like, just so they
Other
know that,
requirements.
yeah.
Yeah. In keeping or whatever, you can incorporate that in.
Hey, Sam, will you mind, just real quick, kind of tying these two documents, the financial documents together? Because, okay, so the first page has like 18,420.69 in 552, is that right? Mm-hmm. And so if you go over here to 552, Oh, the 116 is the budget for that? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
Budget
just
versus
showing you.
actuals.
Okay, now I
Like,
get it.
we got a lot of,
Gotcha.
even with that watershed assessment
Oh,
Yeah.
fee that's rolling, that's probably gonna be broken up into 2 different years, by the way. So that's good.
Oh,
So
So,
basically, if we get a proposal that's a bit, whether it's Stacy's or someone else's that's within that $48,000 range, we have it within the budget. Yeah.
Yes.
And the other thing that I would like to say on that same topic about researching the history part, the historic part, is I'll also research the procurement statutes part to what, for this specific kind of service, what the state law requires us to do as a commissioner. Because I feel like we follow the same, any municipality pretty much has to follow the same state guidelines for procurement.
Ida would be a good one to ask, and she gave me a pretty good rundown. She said she'd send me a flow chart too. It's anything over $20,000
Yeah, I'm gonna go to
has
this.
to get competitive bidding, or gets voted on to bypass that.
Right.
So, and I think it's like 3 bids or something usually.
Yeah, I'll do some research on it. I feel like there's a whole gigantic, I promise you, document
Oh, yeah.
that goes through every guideline of state procurement. And I think we should know it anyway.
or at least know where to find it in the reference.
I've written them before, so I should know how to read them.
Have it someplace where we can reference it.
But maybe there is, for very specific historical jobs, maybe there is a very specific guideline for how you bid
That's
this.
a very good point. We should know. So you're taking that action?
I am going to take that
Thank you.
because I want to know this answer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
excellent.
Anything else? There's nothing to do with anything, but it made me think about this because of paperwork and procurement. Does everybody here have have copies of the bylaws when you became a commissioner?
Yes.
Yes.
Newest
They gave them
ones? Okay.
Thursday.
I'm just making sure. I knew we did, but I would just want to make sure we said that out loud and because I've been asked multiple times recently, do commissioners have them? And I said yes. And I thought, well, I really should ask them again just to be sure everybody has them. Yes.
Maybe we should have a workshop where we sit and read them all.
We should have. We set up a couple workshops on bylaws last year, or whatever. We just haven't
Be
done
the
them.
longest workshop of all time.
Oh, my God.
Can we
Not
do a
really.
Saturday picnic?
Right,
might-
bring lunch.
Yeah, I might set that one out.
They really won't. They were revised when Kevin was chair, so that was 3 years ago. That's the most recent revision, and that one was,
2021.
and it was carefully gone through at that time, and so that it's not that.
I
out of
also
date or
know that I
anything.
have some notes from Scott that we probably need to review where there's some contradictory
Yes.
statements
Yes.
from one thing
I have
versus
those
the
too.
other. So we probably need to go through those anyway.
Yeah, that should be a workshop
I
when
would
we have
welcome
nothing
that,
else.
especially being new.
When we have nothing else going on in the next few months, we'll plan some time to do that. And Katie can make cookies. Bless you. He sneezed so that Katie wouldn't hear me say that. And Katie can make cookies is what I said. Okay. Anything else? Commissioner comments?
I have more of a question
Yes.
than a comment. I know we had an architectural study for Basin Park, but I haven't heard what the outcome of that was. Do we know when we will?
The council had asked for an update. I had to go to a city council meeting about a month ago. So I called Brett, one of the guys from McClellan, and he was like, yeah, we need to get this project wrapped up pretty soon. I was like, okay, like I'm waiting on you, like waiting for your deliverable here. And he sounded like they were like eager to get it done and get us the final draft. Haven't seen it.
Okay.
So
Can we chase him? I mean, because I'd like to see, I don't know, I'm assuming you guys all want to see the outcome and, because it was
Sure.
going to recommend next steps and everything, yes? That's my understanding, is that it was going to be we've done this assessment and this is what you need to do.
I hope so.
The last time Sam met with them, they discussed some things, showed him some things, so that he could look through and say, I was there too, and say, this is not in the ballpark, this is in the ballpark, what are you talking about, whatever. And as far as I know, that's the last kind of where we are, right? Kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah. Waiting for them to take those suggestions and things you said and do something with it and come back at you with something else.
Yeah, I think the plan was to get them and then maybe have another meeting like we had with Butch and Simon, I think was there, and Kyle as well. And then once we feel comfortable, we could put it out to the public for, have like kind of a town hall discussion sort of thing.
When it starts to make sense. Right now, it's still too
Yeah.
broad and too, more like, surprisingly, still seems like it's almost in a, I don't know, like the
So can we get an
fact-finding
update
mission
on
at their point or something. They haven't
Yeah.
really narrowed it down enough yet.
Which is what all of our questions were for Scott in the first place when I didn't want to approve that. I mean, I just felt like it's consulting for consulting's sake. And at the end of the day, we are not any closer to knowing what we have to do
In fact, we
than
might be
further away.
If it helps-
$40,000 less.
If it helps
Exactly.
if it helps us get grants, which it could, because sometimes those kind of documentations can help you.
Yes, yes.
But other than that, no, it has been a time-consuming
But we
process.
need that
But we
document
need
that
the
says.
deliverable.
Yeah.
So if we paid for something, we need to see what the deliverable of that was. It may not be everything we wanted it to be, but it would be nice to have it. So can we put that on it as an agenda item for the next time and maybe follow up with them and say,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
I've got a commission meeting where this is the topic of discussion.
I can shoot Brett an email and, just like a group email between everyone who's part of that and just say, hey, like,
What's
Want a
happening?
date.
Right.
Are we?
Ask for a date.
Yeah.
When will we have the next draft?
And we could put it on the agenda for the next meeting for you to
Should be
ask
the
about it
final
again,
draft.
Carissa. Just in case.
I mean, it should be the final draft of it.
Yeah.
Because, they're looking to wrap
Okay.
up the project. So
Final
it's like,
draft then. Just
Give us
make
what-
them commit to a date. So have we paid them already up front? Or is there any payment pending?
Everything's been paid. However, the reason it was all paid based off what they gave us, and then there's some changes that we asked for. I mean, they're going to do it. It's not like they're not going to do it, but they're looking to wrap it up as well. Because they haven't fulfilled their end of the bargain.
Well, let's
Yeah.
push them and we'll
Yeah.
organize
They're
ourselves.
probably in the process of doing it. I don't want anyone thinking they're not doing their jobs, but they're just, we need to give them a little, give them a paddle so they can go downstream a little faster.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was it.
Sounds good. I think Chris's idea is good. Give him a date. Right. Rod, anything to say?
Well, Friends of the Park, I got the approval from the city.
Yay!
So we're gonna make that happen. I will be asking questions soon about things that I'm allowed to do and what I cannot do, and then we'll go from there.
Did you, by the way, get my text with the contact
Yes.
for the president
Yes.
of the Friends of the Park and LBJ
Yes.
Park?
And he is busy working on a grant right now, so he wants me to wait until next week to call him. I said, no problem at all.
Because there'll be a lot of wisdom
Yes.
in what he does.
Okay. That's exciting, Rod.
Well, I kind of
is
want to
exciting.
do like 2 events a year minimum that would raise money for the parks, unrestricted funds. And my idea was to do 2 balls. One is like an ivy ball that is more casual, and then the other one would be like the blooming ball, and that would be in the spring, and it would be a more formal kind of light for those who would like to do that. Not that you're required to, but it would be kind of fun to do something like that. And then and a second spin-off committee would be like the Garden Society, and they would be volunteers that would help parks employees when they're planting flowers, and they would want to be involved in that. So that's what I want to do.
This is a great idea.
Thank you.
It's a very good idea. Something for both commissioners to do when they finally stop renewing their terms too. I will get involved with that. Okay, thank you. Good. Lori, anything?
I don't have anything to say. I just want to say that so many small things have been done in a very short time that have built themselves into a kind of a big entity. So thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
You've cleared a lot of stuff off the plate, and you've done well.
Were you the one who wrote on the whiteboard
No.
that Harmon?
I would
Someone
never
left me
write
a
on a
little note.
whiteboard.
Someone left me. No, it was a nice note. It was a nice note.
Is it a
But
nice note?
I think I know who did that.
If you get samples of people's handwriting, you'll know.
That's right.
that's right.
It
Thank you,
wasn't-
Lori.
It wasn't mine because you can't read my handwriting. Okay. Mark, any comments?
No, but I just write myself a note to remember the finance committee update of the bank stuff, so I'll go follow up on that.
Okay, yes.
Because
Good idea.
we'll all get, by the way, what we'll do is we'll have a list of all the names of.
We all have to sign
Oh,
to
that's
add
right.
Beth.
We're also going to need the minutes where we
Ruth
added.
has them right there.
The new minutes where we added Beth to the finance committee because they
I
have to
can get
have
those
that.
pretty
Oh, yeah.
I have to give them a copy of that.
Okay.
Do you
At
need
the
my
bank.
full legal
don't-
name, though? as
They'll want a
opposed to
copy
just
of your
that?
driver's license or something, I think.
Yeah,
you do
when
it.
you do your signature.
I don't think
They did for me twice, but I've taken them up there
because
twice.
Lori's a signer on checks.
Yeah, and I didn't have to do anything special. I just
think
had to
just
show
the-
up and show them my
No,
license.
I took them up there that day. I took the minutes up there, and then that's how they initiated the email
Oh,
that
I see.
said you go in and do DocuSign.
Okay. I just figured as long as you're a commissioner, you can be on the check signing list.
No, only ones named in the minutes can get on the check signing
Yes.
list. That's
Okay.
because all the commissioners are not
I
on.
have nothing to do.
Okay.
It's actually me, Ruth. Right now, it's me, Ruth, Laurie, because Laurie was secretary. No, you were on the finance
Finance
committee.
I was
committee.
on the finance.
Oh,
committee, so now
you
Beth will be on the
were.
She said
finance
she didn't want to do
committee.
it forever. You
Yeah,
found
so-
someone, that's great. So,
That's perfect.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So we definitely do need, and Susan, Susan has time to do that. She could do them real quick and save Lori from, if we
Yeah,
need to
she
do
can
it.
do it, and then the issue, once again, it's weird with minutes. It's like the issue comes, she does it, and then I put it in a folder for you guys to review them, but then
Yeah,
we have to vote to approve them.
we don't have to have that. We just
Okay.
have to have,
Yeah, they used to say, we did that, but they don't.
we just have
no.
to have them written.
Okay.
Great.
Ruth can initial it or something.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like in this weird, like,
Yeah, I just have to sign it. The
Vicious
chair
cycle
has
with the
to sign
minutes
them and say that they're
Yeah.
official. Okay. Yeah, it is a, because otherwise it takes 2 months to do that, which
Right.
they used to kind of make it that way. And it's crazy. Okay. Anything else, Mark?
That's all for me.
Okay. Jonathan?
Not really. I meant what I wrote on the whiteboard, though. So
thanks,
that
bud.
was my handwriting.
Dun, dun, dun.
The truth comes out.
Yes.
The plot
Confession,
thickens.
true confession.
Nothing for me.
Nothing from Beth. Okay. We have minutes to approve. Do we not? Yes.
Move approval.
That's Rod. Do I have a second?
Wait, we have 2 sets though,
Oh,
Yeah, we have June and July,
so we need to
yes.
regular meetings.
specifically name the dates.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
So which one do you want to move to approve, Rod?
The first set.
The 18th?
Yeah.
I'll second that. I was here for that meeting. so.
Okay, that's Beth. That's Rod and Beth. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes from the 18th are approved. Motion to approve the minutes from the 20th.
I so move.
Second.
Lori and Rod, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
passes 6-0. The minutes from the 20th are approved. Okay. I believe that's it. Any announcements or anything else we need to know, talk about? That's our agenda, right?
I move to adjourn.
That's Mark. Have a second?
Second.
That was second, third, and fourth.
Marissa, whoever. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Motion passes 6-0.